Ask these 7 questions before letting another lead book onto your calendar. If you are a sales rep, you're a founder taking your own calls, or you manage a team of sales reps, you know the biggest frustration after taking a call or after hearing the call was taken was this lead wasn't qualified, they weren't the right fit, they didn't have the money, they didn't know who we were, they ghosted, somewhere along the lines of they didn't show up or they just weren't qualified in any regards. And sometimes that's a sales issue, specifically around the money, if you didn't do a proper discovery of where they really were financially, truly. But more often than not, it's because your application isn't doing the proper filtering, or it's more upstream. Maybe it's more the marketing and people that are coming in. The application is what we'll be focusing on today because it is the last line of defense before letting someone on your calendar. You have your top of funnel marketing here. Likely YouTube is your powerhouse. You have your lead magnets. You have leads coming in and opting in. You have your VSL, which is also very important to lay the groundworks and the expectation of what this is about. But the application is this last border wall, and you can play with it. You can make it a very thin border. You can make it a Joe Biden border, or you can make it a very strong concrete border. I like to lean more on that side in terms of filtering, but it's definitely a process that you can play with, whether you're getting too many leads that are unqualified or not enough leads coming in, and balancing the act of how strict this application is. So in this video, we'll be walking through exactly the application, how to disqualify time wasters before they even hit your calendar, how to set expectations so people show up prepared and in the right mindset, and make sure that you're only talking to leads that have at least the possibility of saying yes. The worst case is when you could have everything. You could give them heaven on a silver platter, and they cannot even say yes to that. You know it's just a done deal. And we want to at least have the possibility of they could say yes, they could have a payment plan at the very, very least, but ideally more so that they are ready to go and you're just guiding them through that process. So we're going to go through real plug and play questions, whether you're B2B or BizOp, it's more focused around that. If you are B2C, you can still take these principles and certainly apply them. I'll link this document in the description so you guys can copy and paste all these plug and play right away. In order to make your application, I recommend typeform.com to actually build this application out. You can also use Calendly, it still works. The reason I like Typeform is because if somebody drops off, let's say on question 6, you can have a setter or another because you have their information and what they've submitted so far. Calendly, to my understanding, is if they don't book that appointment, they're lost and none of their previous answers are saved. So yeah, let's get into it. Question number 1, we're looking to see, are they the ICP, the ideal client profile? It's just a fit check. Trying to close someone who isn't your ICP, it's like forcing a square peg into a round hole. It doesn't work, if you know what I mean. If you try to serve everybody, you end up helping nobody. So your offer should solve a very specific problem and to a very specific type of person. This also goes back to all the marketing. This should be a straight line all the way down. You can go off a little bit in terms of the lead magnets and the types of people, but it's very important. The direct offer in your VSL and the application, it's all in line. A specific person, a specific problem you serve, very, very clear on that. So this question filters out business models that don't align. Maybe you target B2B and you have a B2C person come in, misaligned priorities, misaligned expectations, and leads you just simply can't help no matter how strong your sales process or offer is. So option number 1 for this question is a direct ICP call out. An example of this is we only work with, let's say, coaches, consultants, or agency owners above 20K a month. Which of the following best describes your business? I am a coach doing over 20K a month, a consultant, an agency. I am not one of those categories. I will leave this page. Bye-bye, head out of here. Very, very clear on who we target, what you are, and if you're not, this is not for you. And the second option is both ICP and the mechanism call out. This is very important if you have specifically a strong top of funnel audience. You have lots of followers, lots of people engaging. And also if you talk a lot about the typical freedoms, work from home, work from your laptop, don't have a boss, escape the 9 to 5, freedom this, freedom that. Everybody wants that, but specifically you likely have a vehicle of getting that freedom. Maybe it's building a personal brand, it's doing copywriting, it's getting into sales, it's trading stocks, whatever it may be, there is a vehicle. And you want to make sure not only people are the right fit, but they're committed to doing that vehicle. If people aren't sold on the vehicle of, let's say, stock trading, for example, then you have to first sell them on that as the vehicle, and then secondly, as you as the person to help them with that. So we want to get at least clear that the mechanism of how you help clients is aligned, with a question like, are you a B2B founder who is 100% committed to growing your personal brand to drive revenue? If you want to be a little bit less, you could just say committed. I would say 100% committed to growing your personal brand to drive revenue. So they are a B2B founder and they have that commitment to your mechanism. And this offer is only for B2B founders committed to growing their brand through personal brand and content marketing. You can have a little disclaimer. Again, we're being very clear on who we help and if they're the right fit. Very simple. Yes, I'm a B2B founder ready to go all in on my personal brand. No, I'm not focused on content or branding. I will leave this page. Option 3 is an open-ended fit check. And again, this last question, you're probably like, that's a little bit strong. I may be losing some people. And while you may be, again, it's better to have qualified people than unqualified people. But if you want to make it a little bit less of a strong filter, you can just have an open-ended fit check here. In 1 to 3 sentences, explain your business like you're talking to my 80-year-old grandma with dementia. You can probably take that last bit out, but what problem do you solve? Who is your ideal client? And this will allow them to just really freeball of who they are. I like that side of things because you can kind of get a grasp from their language of what they do. One caveat to this, though, is you will likely need to have somebody on the back end, whether it's a competent VA or someone on the sales team, to actually see these applications coming in and looking at these 1 to 3 sentences to see if they are a good fit. So a little bit more open-ended, but I like this question because you let that person really explain their situation and where they're in. Option 4 is a BizOp commitment filter. Again, one of the biggest objections in BizOp is I'm working this job, I want this business opportunity, but I don't have enough time, or I'm also looking at other vehicles, other business models. So a question like, do you have at least 10 hours per week, let's say, to commit to building a profitable agency, if that's what you help with. Again, both the vehicle and the time commitment, making sure the expectation is set that this is who we help. This offer is only for people ready to put in focused effort towards building a successful agency. This will also not only qualify, but it'll also raise the standard of your perceived value as a company, as the people you help. So it definitely helps people get more bought in and understand that this is a serious call. So it has like a double effect of weeding out the bad people, but also having the good people even more bought in because they know what you're about. Yes, I can commit. No, I can't. Very, very simple. Question 2, what is your current revenue? This is probably the second, if not, number 1 in terms of when an objection comes up. People are poor, they don't have the money, and it usually comes down to 2 things. They can't afford your offer, or they don't have a clear path to an ROI where they can actually benefit, and therefore they're also disqualified. So even if they're too early stage and they're still validating their offer, inconsistent revenue, even if they like you and they're 100% bought into you, they like your content, they're not in a position to buy. And even if they do buy, they're going to get terrible results. It'll be a 1 out of 10 success story with somebody that is not personally in the position to benefit from your service. So that's, another thing. We're thinking about fulfillment here. We're thinking holistically. How do we get the right people into this business? And we don't just want to sell anybody that we can, that has a pulse and a credit card. Okay. We want to filter down to who can actually get results, have a brand, upsell potentially later. Those are the people we want to target. So it filters out people with no cash flow, product market fit. They're just starting out, low quality clients with personal problems, people looking for therapy instead of real solutions. One caveat is if you are more B2C, you probably help with personal problems. So I want to make that clear that this is more geared to B2B where, you're solving more business problems, and oftentimes people that have business problems are personal problems, but people that have enormous amounts of personal issues, they've never seen success ever in their life personally, it's unlikely they'll see success with your business. If you have a B2C offer, let's say it's dating or it's a dopamine offer, it's completely different and you are solving personal problems. So that would be different in that case. I want to make that clear. But very simple question. What is your current monthly revenue? Straight up. I like a couple different options here. I like the 0 to 1K. Because that really weeds out the people that don't have anything going right now. They haven't started anything. They don't have any clients. 1 to 5K, 5 to 10, 10 to 25. Again, you can throttle those a little bit. But really, these first 2 are ones that you want to have a separate filter for. The 0 to 1K, likely, I would send both of these, honestly, to a setter triage call. So when they fill this application out, you can still let them book a call, but it'll go to a 15-minute discovery call with a setter on your team just to kind of see where they're at and pre-qualify them in that sense before actually going to a sales call with a closer. The second option is you can do a reverse ROI check. And this is important because, like I said here, if they don't have a clear path to an ROI, let's say they sell a digital product for $29, and your offer is 5K, well, it's going to take a lot of units to actually see an ROI. If they have a 5K offer and your offer is 5K, it'll take 1 or 2 clients for them to get their money back and to see an ROI. So ideally, if you want it at least 1K, I would say this is the ideal range, at least 2.5K, again, depending on how big your offer is and what your claims are. But if it is under here, again, you know that it should likely be pointed to a setter in that sense, because it's going to be much harder to help them from that perspective. Question 3, what is the problem? And this is very important because, again, like if somebody doesn't have a problem that's separate, it's a personal problem, you help with lead generation and they're struggling with their fulfillment process, it doesn't even make sense and it's just going to waste time. So people with personal problems, again, businesses with unrelated struggles, leads with no clarity or urgency, that is who we're filtering out here. Plug and play questions for this. What is the biggest challenge preventing you from growing your personal brand, your business, your new agency, and consistently attracting clients? Whatever that specific challenge is that you solve for, you likely have a list, and that's exactly what you're going to put in the options. You want to have a list of all those challenges that you see clients come in with, ideally the challenges that you help clients with the best. So I don't know what to post. I don't know, I don't have time to post. I'm posting but not getting engagement. An important thing to note here is that you can tell by how qualified somebody is by what they check. So if they've never posted anything compared to if they're posting something, I would much rather take a posting. They're already getting going with content and they've not seen success, but they're at least bought into that vehicle. They've gotten some traction going. If somebody's never posted before, again, they're probably not as committed to it, and you're going to have to sell them on that first. That's more for coaching and high volume. If you are selling done-for-you agency services, it can sometimes be better to have somebody that's never done that because you're selling them on this new opportunity and you don't need to sell how much better, what they're already doing is in terms of your solutions. Hopefully that makes sense. But again, you can have different criteria to kind of see where they are. And this helps the closer kind of prepare to see, okay, where's this person that I'm having a call with? Where can I direct this conversation and guide them depending on what they select here? Option 2 is an open-ended bottleneck discovery question. If we could fix just one thing in your business over the next 90 days, what would it be and why? Again, you're going to have someone that likely looks at those applications as soon as they come in to see what type of answers they're responding with. Option 3 is a BizOp mindset filter. What's been your biggest struggle so far in reaching that desired outcome of starting a agency, starting stock trading, starting copywriting, whatever it may be? Typically, more BizOp offers are more of an identity sell, meaning they have issues with their focus. They have issues with their mindset, their belief. They're not confident this is going to work. So that's kind of more of the word track we're going down there for a BizOp. Question number 4, are you the decision maker? Very important. If they need to run it by a partner, check with a team member or think about it. You're not talking to the decision maker, and your time is too valuable to pitch somebody who doesn't have that authority to move forward. I don't know if I actually agree with that. I probably should take this out because there are a lot of calls where somebody has especially a little bit more larger B2B sales, when there are a few decision makers and you can have a great first call with them and they put a great impression, and you can close them, in the next 7 to 14 days. Ideally speaking, we want the decision makers on every call. Again, it depends on the offer, but don't be I should not have put that. Your time is too valuable. It's probably not. Maybe it is. If it's BizOp, for sure. But again, a lot of like spouse objections, that's more on the closer. You got to overcome that. So yeah, this question, it's a little hit or miss depending on your offer, but ultimately we want decision-making people on the call and, at least make it clear to the person that this is a sales call. You are making a decision on this. So simple question, are you the only decision maker when it comes to investing in your business? I would say maybe, are you the main decision maker when it comes to investing in your business? Yes, I make the final calls. I'm the big boss. You can have some fun with these questions, but no, I need approval from my partner, but I will make sure they attend this call. Perfect. Make sure there's a second calendar invite. There's a second decision maker on that calendar when they book in. Or no, I need approval from my partner. They cannot attend this call. If they select number 3, again, I would set them to a setter triage to have an initial call. They still could likely be qualified, but you want to make sure the setter is fully on board with when they come in here, that the decision maker will be on the call. And again, if they have a great 10, 15-minute discovery call, everything's aligned, it still can be a great person for your service. Number 5, and this is probably the most important, is going to be buying intent. Okay, you're not running free therapy sessions unless you want to be doing that. And if someone isn't in the position to invest in solving their problems, there's really no point in taking that call. This question preframes a sales conversation. It protects your time from tire kickers, freebie seekers, and I'm just looking around types of people. So yeah, people who want free advice, we don't want those. Leads who like the idea, but they're not committed. Again, if you have a strong top of funnel, you have a huge audience top of funnel, you're talking about freedom and different things that everybody wants, you'll get a lot more of these people. And people who don't understand it, don't understand life, don't understand this is a sales call, aren't in the frame of mind. That's really what we're going for here. So my probably favorite for this is giving them an investment range, not necessarily price dropping, but this is roughly what it's going to cost. What are you willing to invest in yourself and your skill set to reach desired outcome? I don't have any money. I have less than 1,000. I have 1 to 4. I have more than 4,000. I put this last one at what your offer actually is. And again, you are setting the frame. Now, some salespeople are like, never give out the price, hold it all back. What I find is that just be somewhat transparent of what it's going to cost, get them in that frame of mind, and it's going to help drastically with quality. So I'm a big component of having something like this. And you can segment these leads into red, yellow, and green. So people that have no money to invest, I wouldn't even send them to a setter. Setters can maybe outbound dial them if they're on a list, but I would send them to free resources. Less than 1,000, setter triage. 1 to 4,000, this is likely a payment plan. Still send them to a closing call. And 4,000, you know that they should PIF and hold your closers accountable to getting that full cash collected on that call. So that's one option. Second is just a straight price drop. I also like this because it's just transparent. Like, if this is a good fit, are you financially ready to invest $10K to implement this system? Yes, I'm ready to invest if there's 100% alignment. No, I'm not in a position to move forward financially. You can maybe take this 100% out. If there's alignment, no, I'm not in a position. It eliminates false. It just gives clarity on this is how much it is, and this question will probably have the biggest drop off out of any of these questions in terms of people that don't book a call. So keep that in mind, but the people that do book a call, they're clear on what it costs. They will likely be much qualified people. Lastly, open-ended questions. What kind of budget, if any, have you set aside to solve this problem? I'm not a big fan of this question. I don't know why I actually put it in here, just because nobody's going to give you your actual number. People will always probably say less, or they'll think you're going to try to sell them something based on how much money they say. So I would probably leave this out. This would be more ideal if you have probably more like higher ticket and lots of different packages and options, and it's more of a true question that you need to have. But for most people, I would avoid this question here. An optional follow-up question to one of these: no, I'm not ready to invest financially, or I have no money, I have 1,000, is if funds are limited, we do offer payment plans, assuming you're open to using credit. What's your current credit score range? And again, this gives them options to see kind of where they are if funding is an option you guys do. Again, it's going to be lower quality people, not just from the sales side of things, but from the fulfillment that use it. People that are on payment plans where they are trying to pay rent and they don't have much going on, it's going to be much higher of a refund request, bad reviews, etc., etc. So keep that in mind, but definitely an option that you can have there. Question 6. And I would say this is honestly the second or probably most important question, is there's actually a real person you're talking to. Okay, before you take a call, you need to confirm they're a real person, a real business, not a ghost account, not a competitor, not a funnel hacker or a village boy from Nigeria. Okay, we love those people, but unfortunately they're not going to be able to afford your offer more times than not, especially with these financial questions that you're asking them. So very simple for the identity. Just what is your social media that you're most active on? What's your handle? I would actually just say, what is your Instagram handle? I like that a lot. What's your Instagram handle? If it's more B2B, what's your website URL? And just make sure there's alignment. You look up the website, there's usually social links. It's the name on the calendar. You look up the Instagram handle, it's the real person, the names line up. You can have a VA do that. I would make sure you have a VA in place that does this literally full time. Whenever a call comes in, within the first 1 to 2 minutes, you have somebody that verifies, okay, this Instagram handle, name, person that booked a call, everything is aligned. If not, mark them as free and leave that open, because especially when you have a bigger audience, you'll have a lot of people coming in that are just curious. They want to see kind of what it looks like, people funnel hacking, and you want to make sure that it doesn't hold up space on the calendar for other people that are looking to book in. Question 7, a commitment to show up. And this is just important to kind of label them with an identity that they are a real person. We dedicate real time and energy to building custom game plans for every business owner that we speak with. Please confirm you'll show up on time. Yes, I am a successful business owner that respects calendar time and will show up on time. Again, you're hitting them with that label. No, I don't use a calendar, and understand I won't be considered. So that's kind of a question. Again, if somebody shows or not, it'll likely be up to who they are, but you're preceding that you are a company that takes this seriously and you're committing time to this, and a great question to ensure people show up. So in summary, the 7 non-negotiables for letting anybody book a call. We want to make sure they're the right ICP, they have the financial capacity, you actually have a problem that you solve, that they have, there's alignment there. They are the decision maker, they're ready to invest, they're a real person, and they have a commitment to show up. The one kind of thing I'll just say to keep in mind with this is these are more on the side of hard qualifying. So if you're not getting any leads at all right now, I would kind of sift through this and pick more open-ended questions along the sides of an open-ended fit check, or potentially more of a range in terms of the investment level, wherever that is right here, buying intent, wherever that investment question is in terms of, how much this is going to cost. I would have that more open-ended. If you're getting a lot of leads though, and you need to qualify more, this is exactly what we do. It works like a charm, and it's a system to mainly just qualify people. It's the most important thing, because I would rather have 3 calls on the calendar where all 3 are qualified than have 6 or 7 on the calendar and you can only offer 3 people. It burns out sales reps. Sales reps complain. They complain to marketing. It's just a whole bunch of stuff. So it's better to have qualified people than just a bunch of volume on that, in terms of who you're speaking with. So yeah, that's all I got. If you guys like this video, drop a like. I will leave this in the description below, so you guys can download this, copy and paste it. Literally just copy this. I would put this into AI, give it an overview of who your ICP is, what your offer is, everything, and then it'll just spit out custom questions that are exactly like this, and you can plug and play. So yeah, drop a like, drop a dislike, positive comment, negative comment. Give me something. I'm just starting this channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.